Why would a man delete the same message every night at 11:43 p.m.? That's what Grace Whitmore asked herself the night she saw the reflection of his phone screen glowing in their bedroom mirror. He wasn't texting her. He was smiling at something, or someone else. June 12, 2022, Brookfield, Illinois. The house smelled like lavender and rain. Dinner plates still warm. Nathan was humming softly in the kitchen, the kind of tune that says, "Nothing's wrong." But Grace's heart didn't believe him anymore. The rhythm of his routine, same cologne, same kiss, same half-smile, suddenly felt rehearsed. Then came the first crack. A hotel charge buried in their shared account. Time-stamped on the night he claimed he was working late. Her stomach dropped. Not from anger, but from disbelief. Nathan didn't make mistakes. Ever. 3 days later, a call came from a woman's voice she didn't recognize. "I think your husband left something at my place." Grace froze. Hand trembling, voice gone. The woman sounded polite, familiar, terrifyingly calm. When Grace checked Nathan's drawer that night, she found a spare phone. Locked, wiped, and wrapped in a child's hospital wristband. Their daughter had died 3 years ago. Grace hadn't seen that band since the funeral. Every bone in her body went cold. Who was Nathan talking to at 11:43 p.m.? And why was their daughter's name the only contact saved on that hidden phone? Main suspect, Nathan Whitmore Candle, but one detail didn't add up. The phone wasn't just recently used, it had a voicemail. And the voice on it wasn't his. Why did the voicemail sound like their daughter? 3 years after she died. Grace replayed it again and again, every breath in the message scraping across her skin. A small voice whispering, "Mommy, he says you can't tell." Grace sat in a gray interview room, clutching the phone like it could burn through her hands. Detective Riley Moran leaned forward. "You're sure it's her voice?" Grace nodded. Tears silent, not from fear, but confusion that ripped at her core. The detective pressed play again. Static. Then the same whisper, soft, distant, like it came from a tunnel. Riley didn't say a word, just wrote something down. Possible audio manipulation. Back home, Nathan moved through the house like nothing was happening. He still brewed her coffee, still kissed her cheek. Only now, he asked more questions than he answered. "Did you sleep last night? Did anyone call you?" His tone kind but too careful. Grace noticed his wedding ring was gone. In its place, a faint tan line, fresh, unhealed. When she searched his closet that night, one thing stood out. A box labeled Archive, 2019. Inside, medical forms, old insurance statements, and a photo of their daughter in a hospital gown, holding a small stuffed rabbit Grace had never seen before. Tucked behind the photo, a receipt, dated last month. Location, Mercy Hill Children's Clinic, Chicago. Their daughter's clinic had been closed since 2020. Grace's breath caught. If the clinic was gone, who signed that receipt? And what exactly was Nathan doing there? 3 years after her death. Clue logged. Forged medical receipt, voicemail origin. Unknown number. Rerouted server. Grace dialed the clinic number on the receipt. Someone answered, and the voice on the line said, "Mrs. Whitmore, you were never supposed to find that." What kind of hospital answers the phone 3 years after it shut down? Grace's fingers trembled as she held the receiver, the line heavy with static and dread. The voice on the other end wasn't mechanical. It was human, calm, rehearsed. June 16, 2022, Mercy Hill Children's Clinic, Chicago, now abandoned. Detective Riley Moran stood beside Grace at the gate of what used to be a cheerful place. Faded murals of cartoon animals peeled from the walls. The front doors were chained. Yet inside, a faint light glowed from the second floor. Riley cut the lock. The air smelled like bleach and dust. Paperwork littered the hallways, old patient files, discarded charts. And on one door, a nameplate still read, "Drive N. Whitmore, Pediatric Counselor." Grace's chest caved in. Nathan never mentioned working here. Never once. They found recent footprints in the dust, fresh shoe impressions, size 11. the same as Nathan's. Inside the office, a laptop left open, its screen looping a single photo. Nathan smiling with a woman and a young boy. Captioned, "Family Intake Program, Confidential." Grace staggered back. That boy, he had Nathan's eyes. And the woman beside him wasn't her. Riley clicked the mouse. The system required a password. 3 failed attempts later, a message appeared. Access restricted. Julia Cross authorization only. Grace whispered, "Who is she?" Riley replied quietly, "Someone your husband didn't expect us to find this soon." A rustle came from the hallway. Riley drew his weapon. Footsteps retreated fast, out the side exit, down the metal stairs. They caught only a glimpse, a woman's silhouette, long coat, red scarf. Julia Cross. New subject identified. Julia Cross evidence. Digital intake photo, forged employment records. Grace picked up a torn page from the floor. A form with her daughter's name printed at the top. Next to guardian signature. Someone had signed, Julia Cross. Why would another woman sign my dead child's medical form? Grace's voice cracked as she held the paper under the harsh fluorescent light. Every letter of her daughter's name looked identical to her own handwriting. Only slightly wrong, like someone had practiced it. Detective Riley Moran placed the forged form on a scanner. The analyst zoomed in, comparing pressure points, strokes, ink age. "Not a copy," he said. "It was signed within the last month." Grace stared at the monitor, her daughter's name glowing back at her. The world spun quietly. Riley asked, "Did your husband ever mention Julia Cross?" Grace shook her head. "Never." By noon, a trace came back. Julia Cross, 31, worked as a pediatric therapist. Current address, Millstone Apartments, North Chicago. Apartment listed under Nathan Whitmore corporate lease. Riley's face went cold. He's paying for her place. That night, Grace parked outside Millstone, engine off, heart hammering. Through the window, she saw Nathan, laughing, pouring wine. Next to him, Julia, barefoot, smiling, alive in a life that wasn't hers. Grace stayed in the car, tears silent but steady. This wasn't a fling. It was a duplicate marriage. A second life, built brick by brick on the ruins of hers. At 10:47 p.m., Julia stepped onto the balcony, phone in hand. She said softly, "I think she knows." Grace ducked low, pulse racing. Was Julia talking about her? Or someone else entirely? Riley called moments later. "Grace, you need to leave. We pulled Julia's phone records. She wasn't just calling Nathan. She's been contacting a number tied to the Mercy Hill database." Grace whispered, "Whose number?" Static on the line. Then Riley's voice, sharp. "It's registered to your daughter's old patient file. Connection confirmed. Nathan plus Julia plus Mercy Hill system active number trace. Pediatric record line 23A. As Grace looked back toward the apartment, the balcony light flickered, and Nathan was no longer there. What kind of man builds the same life twice? Down to the smallest detail. Grace stood outside Millstone Apartments, staring at the faint glow behind Julia's curtains. Same curtains she'd picked years ago. Same tablecloth pattern. Same scent, vanilla and cedar. Nathan hadn't just lied. He'd replicated. Detective Riley waited in an unmarked car 2 blocks away, eyes fixed on Grace's location through the camera feed. "Don't go in alone," he said. Grace didn't respond. The elevator doors closed. Her reflection looked like a stranger's. Pale, unblinking, hollow. She knocked once. Julia opened the door, her expression folding into shock. "Grace, you shouldn't be here." The apartment was a mirror image of Grace's home. Same photo frames, but different faces. A little boy's drawing on the fridge read, "Mommy plus Daddy plus me." The man in the stick figure had Nathan's smile. Julia's hands trembled as she said, "He told me his wife died. He said your daughter was ours." Grace's breath caught, disbelief burning behind her eyes. "Then who left that voicemail?" she whispered. Julia looked toward the hallway. "He made recordings. Said it was part of therapy." She pulled a flash drive from a drawer, shaking. He told me never to listen. I didn't, until last night. Riley entered quietly, badge raised. He plugged the drive into his laptop. Audio files appeared, each labeled with dates. Recent ones. The first file played. Nathan's voice, calm, measured. Session 3. Grace still believes I'm working late. Julia believes we're expecting. Subject line, correction through duplication. Grace covered her mouth. Julia's knees gave out. Riley paused the audio. He's recording both of you, documenting psychological behavior. Then came the last file, timestamped just hours earlier. Nathan's voice again. If either of them finds the clinic records, proceed to stage 2. They can't both exist. A knock at the apartment door interrupted the silence. 3 slow taps. Logged. Dual identity recordings, Millstone Apartments, 11:02 p.m. Riley motioned for silence. Julia whispered, "That's him." Grace whispered back, "No, Nathan never knocks." What kind of man knocks on the door of his own secret life? The 3 taps echoed again. Steady, deliberate, almost polite. Grace's pulse thundered in her throat. Julia's eyes filled with panic. Riley drew his weapon and mouthed, "Stay down." Through the peephole, a man's shadow. Broad shoulders, head bowed. Nathan. But when the light flickered, another shape moved behind him. Someone smaller. Riley whispered, "There's 2 of them." He stepped aside, hand gripping the doorknob. Grace, back away. The knock came a 3rd time, harder now. Riley yanked the door open. Hallway empty. Only a cell phone lay on the floor, screen still glowing. It was playing a video. Nathan sat in his car, recording himself. "By the time you see this, I'll be gone. Everything I did was to prove memory can be rewritten. 2 lives. 1 story. They'll believe what they're told to remember." The video cut to a dark room. Julia's apartment, same furniture, same lighting. Except this time, the walls were covered in Polaroids. Grace sleeping. Julia laughing. 2 families, 1 man's experiment. Riley's voice was low, steady. "He's watching us. Somewhere close." Julia's phone buzzed. A new message from an unknown number. "Stage 2 begins now." The apartment lights flickered out. Only the hallway emergency light glowed red. Riley grabbed Grace's arm. "Move!" They ran toward the stairwell, but a voice echoed from the dark. Nathan's voice. Calm. Controlled. "You shouldn't have looked, Grace. You were supposed to let her replace you." Julia screamed. Riley turned, but Nathan was already gone, leaving the stairwell door ajar. Outside, sirens cut through the night. Nathan's confession video. Millstone Apartments. Stairwell camera offline. 11:17 p.m. When power returned, a note was pinned to the apartment door. Typed and signed but chillingly clear. "Only one of you was real." By morning, the city was drenched in fog. Police tape fluttered outside the Millstone Apartments like quiet warnings. Inside, the air felt heavier, as if the walls remembered everything. Grace sat at the kitchen table, wrapped in a blanket, eyes hollow. Across from her, Detective Riley scrolled through Nathan's last video frame by frame. Each image revealed something new, not about a man hiding 2 lives, but about a man trying to erase one. In the background of Nathan's video, Riley noticed a faint reflection in the mirror. Grace. But she wasn't filming. She was smiling. Frozen, just like one of Nathan's Polaroids. Riley froze the frame. "Grace, when was this taken?" Her breath trembled. I don't know. That's my old living room. But that clock, it was in Julia's place." Riley's voice dropped. "Then Julia didn't just look like you. She was built to become you." A knock came from the door. This time soft. Human. An officer entered, holding an evidence bag. Inside was a small black device, labeled Neural Memory Recorder, Prototype 2. Grace's body went rigid. "I thought it was a sleep study." Nathan said he was testing dream recall. Riley's eyes narrowed. "Grace, he wasn't testing dreams. He was recording identities." It all unraveled then. Nathan had been working with a private lab, experimenting on the idea that memories could be transferred from one subject to another. Julia was never a random stranger. She was created from Grace's recorded memories, her gestures, her laugh. A living replica, built to see if emotion could be cloned. When Grace saw the police photos later that night, her knees gave out. Julia's fingerprints matched hers. So did 78% of her DNA. The official report would call it unauthorized psychological experimentation. But Riley knew it was something darker. A man's obsession with proving that love could be duplicated, that a perfect marriage could be rebuilt from fragments of memory. The final footage from Nathan's dashcam showed him driving into the fog, whispering, "Perfection isn't love, it's repetition." His car was found days later, empty, door open, engine still running near Lake Monroe. The passenger seat, vacant, except for a single Polaroid. Grace and Julia side by side, one smiling, one fading. Months later, Grace moved out of the city. She never spoke of Nathan again. But sometimes, she'd wake up at night, hearing a woman's voice whisper softly from the corner of the room. "Stage 3 begins when you forget me." The case was officially closed. But the footage, it was never recovered. And the most disturbing part, Nathan's neural recorder went missing from evidence storage the following week. He wanted 2 lives, and now both of them live on in memory. Subscribe to The Veil of Secret for more true crime stories that blur the line between truth, obsession, and the shadows that live among us.